Hello YouTube, it is Liam, the Deaf Doom Metalhead, and I'm doing a band spotlight video today for a kind of fairly newish band that you may have not heard of. And at the end of this video, hopefully you will go check them out and be a fan like I am. The band in question is Grief Collector, who are based out of Minnesota, been around since 2017, and are a three-piece in the style of epic doom, in the vein of like Tony Martin era Black Sabbath, Dio, you know, very much in that kind of ballpark of, you got the epic vocals with the Sabbath-like riffing, and you kind of get this really nice merge of heaviness that I absolutely love when I listen to that, especially this kind of doom where it's epic, traditional sounding metal, and it just works so well. But the band I'm going to talk about today have been around, like I say, since 2017, are a three-piece. You got the famous Robert Lowe on vocals, who is probably one of my favourite vocalists in metal, and I could probably say I'm a super fan of his in a way. I mean, I've got albums where he features on, like Funeral from Norway. He was in one of my favourite bands ever, being Solitude Aeternus there, and then he was in my even more favourite band, Candlemass, for a little while. I've got all the albums he was featured on in there. And then last year in 2020, he was on an album that became my #1 album of last year, and that was Tyrant with Hereafter. Never even heard of this band last year. Checked this out purely because of Robert Lowe was on it, and it was amazing. Fucking awesome album, really hooky, really catchy, and I haven't stopped listening to this either. But today I want to talk about Grief Collector, because this album I'm going to talk about, which will be out on the 11th of June, is amazing. So I was lucky enough to get a copy sent early to me by Petrichor Records, who are putting it out, and the album is called En Delirium. And this, like I say, is a 2021 release coming out this Friday on the 11th. And it's amazing. You might be able to hear it in the background. So, Grief Collector, like I say, epic doom, featuring Robert Lowe on vocals. So you're going to get that really catchy, melodic voice that he has, throwing those epic, like kind of high notes he can hit. But what is really, really interesting about this album, just like Tyrant's one, it's the riffing. Absolutely spot on. This band have featured two members I've never even heard of before from other bands. You've got Matt Johnson, who's doing the guitars and bass, and I must say the riffs on this are amazing. You could say they're a bit similar to Sabbath and Dio in a way, but they're very catchy, very memorable, and he's just using that blueprint that every doom player, like myself, even uses, where you kind of follow that certain pattern and you kind of build from there. And all the riffs on this album are absolutely fantastic, very catchy. But what I will say that stands out the most compared to the EP is the solos. Now, the EP came out in 2019, which was a self-release, and that was my first introduction to the band. Saw Robert Lowe on Facebook kind of post about he's in this new project. I checked it out. I think it was Eyes of Fog was the track. Yeah, it is. And I was instantly blown away. Very hooky, very catchy, very heavy. And for about half an hour that EP lasted, it was just hooked me right in, and it's just reminded me of Solitude Aeternus and all the really good riffs from there, and you know, brought back a lot of happy memories of listening to that band. I still listen to that band now, to be fair. But you know, Grief Collector, you could compare them as Solitude Aeternus in a way, but it's purely on Rob's vocals, because they do remind me a lot of Solitude Aeternus and the style, just because of the production, especially on this new release. It's got that kind of latter era Solitude Aeternus sound to it, but the riffs are more in the vein of Sabbath and that kind of more traditional doom style. So they're not ultra fast, they don't go off onto this big epic tangent or really bizarre sounds. It's very heavy, chuggy doom metal with some like nice acoustic pieces put in there. But like I also say, the solos will separate it completely from those kind of projects. They're very melodic, very, very, very technical in the way that they fit the song structure really well, and they carry it really well. They're not just shredding or anything like that. They're put there deliberately, and like you can probably hear in the background, he uses like wahs and stuff like that to kind of give it a different flavour. But then also you have Brad Miller? Yeah, sorry, Brad Miller, who is the heartbeat of the band. He is the drummer and writes all the lyrics for the band. So I always thought Robert Lowe was the lyricist for the band, but he's not, it's Brad. And the vocals, well, the songs are very, very catchy, especially with how Rob sings some of the choruses. You can instantly remember them. Knee Deep in Devils being the one that stands out in my head. Winter Sick, and I mean, my favourite on here is Misery Mongers, but that's more for like the kind of the bass work and how it builds and creates this really dark atmosphere, which I really love. And like I say, musically this is spot on. Like, this is very, very hooky, very catchy. The drums just kind of sit on the beat, they don't kind of go off on a tangent or anything like that. It all kind of fits together really tight and just kind of goes with Rob's vocals and kind of carries him along each song, and he kind of sings very, very well on this as well, because I know some of the Candlemass albums he was featured on are a bit iffy for me, like songs like Water, which I always thought that was an absolute shit song, but I don't think, obviously Leaf wrote that, he didn't, but I just never thought that was a very good song. But on here I have no complaints, there's not a weak song on it at all. I did try to find maybe one criticism of it, and all I can say maybe was it's not too different between each song, the patterns are very much the same, there's no standout track to me that makes me like go, oh, that's the best track on the album. I would say Misery Mongers maybe, just because of the way it builds, but as an album a whole, if you listen to this all the way through, it's start to finish, it's absolutely solid, and you can probably hear the solos now, very, very crisp, very clear, amazing production. And they even have a Dio melody at the end with Voodoo and Die Young to kind of finish the album as a kind of nod to him, because Rob Lowe can do Dio very, very well. And with this addition from Petrichor here, now if you don't know who Petrichor are, they are a Dutch label who are fairly new, but I think they're like the sister company to Hammerheart Records, who are putting out loads of new releases, and this is my first from them. They've also put this out on 3 different variants of vinyl, which I want as well, so I will try and pick up one of them. But I'm happy with the CD because it came with the EP, which I always wanted, but I could never pick it up. And yeah, absolutely fantastic, so happy to have this. A big thank you to Anita for organising this for me, who's their manager, and was able to give me the chance to kind of listen to it before a few other people. But like I say, it comes out this Friday, well worth your time. If you're a big fan of Robert Lowe like me, it's a no-brainer, just buy it because you'll enjoy it. If you're a fan of Dio, Sabbath, Epic Doom, but also that kind of traditional metal where Dio was singing, you know, kind of those heavier songs like Time Machine and that kind of thing, kind of sits with that as well, like Black Sabbath's Dehumanizer. You can make a comparison to that album to this as well almost. And yeah, absolutely loving it, been spinning it loads, well worth your time. Go check this out through Petrichor Records, you will not be disappointed. So thank you for checking out this video. Thank you for Grief Collector, Robert Lowe and Anita for giving me the opportunity to check out the album a little bit in advance. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and also check out my other previous videos which will pop around my head now. Check out Petrichor Records with the link below, and hopefully I'll hear in the comment section that you like it and you'll be buying it. Take care.